We have some major news to discuss today as reporter Elliotte Friedman dropped some very big information regarding Brad Treliving and his plan going forward to address the blue line situation via trade. So I'm going to break that down in this episode of Leafs Digest, and he also discusses the thought process on why Brad Treliving did not acquire Nikita Zadorov, as well as we have a little bit of tidbits from Brad Treliving speaking out on Joseph Woll. So stay tuned for all that. Before we do get into that, quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys again for allowing us to hit 5,000 subscribers. Your support has been unbelievable. It means the world to us. And about 80% of you guys who are watching this one right now are not subscribed. Scroll down, see if you're not subscribed. We're on the road to 7,500 subs and then 10,000 after that. So thank you guys again for your support. And let's get into the first topic of the day. Now, I know a lot of trade reports and rumors have been coming out. The Leafs haven't been playing many games. They don't play now for another few days, and all the Leafs news has been focused around Brad Treliving addressing the blue line and trades happening. So I have a bit more trade information for you guys today. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but Elliotte Friedman is the biggest, most reliable, I would say, most reputable NHL reporter, and he had very interesting stuff to say, not only about their upcoming plan for what potential trades they can make, but also why they didn't pull the trigger and some insider information about the Nikita Zadorov trade. So let's just get right into it. Banksy summarized it. It is from the 32 Thoughts podcast. Feel free to watch the episode if you want the entire details. But here's what it says on why Z and Tanev aren't Leafs right now. So there's a lot to go through. We'll start with this. Toronto definitely tried to get both players. There's no question in my mind. Calgary was in a situation where they had notified teams they wanted to get Zadorov done, and he explained some reasons why. And he basically goes on to say that Toronto tried to get both players, and here's what it came down to. Toronto needed Calgary to retain, unlike Vancouver. And then he does the math on what each player cost, and says he couldn't agree, the two teams, Toronto and Calgary, couldn't agree on what Toronto should pay Calgary for $3 million in retention. Now, we broke this down over the past few videos, but this is some more in-depth, I would say, details about the situation. Now, Brad Treliving clearly doesn't like to retain salary because ultimately that is what stopped the deal from getting done. It got to a point and it made sense. Nikita Zadorov requested a trade a while ago now. It seems like a month ago. I don't know exactly how long it was. It probably was about a month ago after the Leafs lost. And then he went on to say that he would be open to coming to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then it kind of stalled. And we were wondering maybe the Flames will wait until the trade deadline to get a deal done and to potentially shop their players. Ultimately, it didn't happen. The Calgary Flames, according to this report, were ready to make a trade and wanted to get the Nikita Zadorov trade done so they can move on. And Brad Treliving was right in there, but he ultimately didn't do it because of the salary cap and what the assets would have been, which is very interesting. Now, he also has some more stuff to say about what could go on going forward. And he keeps reporting that the Leafs are going to most likely acquire Chris Tanev and that Chris Tanev would re-sign with the Leafs if they do acquire him. So here's what he goes on to say. I guess, especially regarding the Calgary situation. Keep in mind, Chris Tanev is on Calgary, so this is all relevant. I think Toronto made offers. I think they had some things on the table. I think Calgary told them that what it would take, and Calgary valued the money more than Toronto. Now, Tanev, I do think Toronto will try to get Tanev and doesn't believe anyone had permission to talk extensions. So that's very interesting. This is the second or third time now reports have come out specifically regarding Elliotte Friedman saying that the Toronto Maple Leafs will most likely be trying to acquire Chris Tanev. Now, this isn't necessarily new news, but going into the details about the actual trade is new news, and it goes to show that they were having talks beforehand, and they got pretty deep in conversations. Now, this could help when looking at a trade for Chris Tanev and what it could take to acquire the defenseman is 33 years old and has been having an unbelievable season for the Calgary Flames. If it comes down to money, who knows? Maybe that'll be another issue for the Maple Leafs. And then he basically goes on to say that he believes that Calgary believes Toronto would re-sign or look to re-sign either player traded and thought the trade might look bad if Toronto added a second for the price. And he goes on to say, I heard mixed messages on Sunday. Some said Tanev would take longer to trade because he makes more money, and I had others say Calgary might make another run at signing him. Toronto's definitely looking for defense. I heard right-handed shot, preference, edgier, more physical. Zadorov lines up with that, and Chris Tanev as well lines up with the edgy and physical style. So he kind of just revealed right there his plans going into the future. They want a defenseman. Chris Tanev might take longer to trade. Who knows what his value will be? And again, the reason they didn't make the trade was because of a lot of differences regarding money. Toronto clearly valued money more than, or Calgary valued money more than Toronto did. Toronto would have been willing to do it, and if Calgary was willing to retain 50% or 75% of the salary, this deal probably would have been done already, and Nikita Zadorov would be a Toronto Maple Leaf. But instead, he's at the Vancouver Canucks, where he scored a goal in his first ever game with them. So I don't know, a very interesting bit of information there. And the plan is revealed that the Leafs are not only going for a defenseman, but they're going for one who is physical, right-handed, and edgy, as well as Chris Tanev, who fits all of those, and they would be looking for an extension for the Flames defenseman, and maybe that will cause Calgary to kind of ride up and drive up the price because they know that an extension could be in place. So whether it takes a second-round pick, a first-round pick, a third-round pick, Abruzzese, depending on what it takes, who knows if Calgary and the Leafs will be able to get a job and get the deal done, and if they don't, then I don't know what we're going to do regarding defense, because right now it seems like the Flames hopefully are willing to trade before the trade deadline, and I'm not sure how many other teams would be willing to do that because we've already seen the Flames do it once. So let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comment section below. A lot of information there came out today, so let's move on down to the second topic, which is some decent stuff here. I just have a quick tidbit of information in case you missed it. Obviously, the Leafs had a pretty unfortunate loss against the Bruins a couple nights ago. And Sheldon Keefe just had some more praise for Joseph Woll, and I just wanted to give Joseph Woll some more credit. We do it every few videos, but because of all the trade rumors that have been going down, haven't really had time to discuss the actual team, especially regarding Joseph Woll, aside from the blue line of the forward. So shout out Joseph Woll. He has been very good, and here's what he said on his game versus Boston. It's a game with no margin for error, and he's standing his ground. He's had no easy nights, so it's tremendous growth for him through this week. A very difficult week, but he stood his ground all the way through. And I want to mention that, and I've mentioned this a few times in videos. The blue line is not very good. The defense is not very good for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the fact that Joseph Woll, who does not have very much NHL experience, I think 13 games coming into this season, is going out there, playing his butt off, playing unbelievable between the pipes against some of the top teams. We saw the Bruins. He gave up ultimately 4 goals against the Bruins, but he had an unbelievable game against them a couple nights ago. He is a guy that the Leafs may have finally drafted, brought up through the system, and has developed, obviously played with the Marlies, a phenomenal goaltender, and maybe even the goaltender of the future for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that's kind of what Sheldon Keefe is hinting at here. His growth has been unbelievable, and this is a very good, as bad as the defense has been, it's a good sign for Joseph Woll's growth, and it's a good way for him to grow in front of a defense that isn't great. He's battling through the hardships. He's had started off the season phenomenally, started off his Leafs career phenomenally. He had a few bad games, and then he bounces right back, which is what you need as a goalie. All the elite goalies in the league, they're not always going to have phenomenal nights. We all know this. But Woll was able to bounce back, and just a huge shout out to Joseph Woll. He's been doing unbelievable things out there. And again, when you're getting praise like this from your head coach, it goes to show that I think it's pretty solidified now that Joseph Woll is our number one goaltender of the future. Whether it's past this year, no matter what they do with Ilya Samsonov, I think Woll is going to be the guy who steps in there and is going to hopefully bring us to a Stanley Cup. But not getting ahead of ourselves here. He has just been so good. I'm so happy he's on our team, and he's been a joy to watch, and I'm just curious to see what Woll could do with a competent blue line in front of him. Maybe a guy like Chris Tanev, a guy who brings a lot of defensive presence there, helps break up, checks more, blocks more shots, helps break up 2-on-1s. Everything that a good defenseman will do. If Joseph Woll won't only elevate the offense, won't only elevate the defense, it'll elevate Joseph Woll at the goaltending and the whole team. And I don't know, it's super exciting if you're a Leafs fan, albeit we need the blue line to be improved. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. And finally, just a quick Marlies move. I just want to throw this in here. If you made it this far, make sure to like the video. But the move here is, as you can see, it's a bit of a minor one. It's nothing crazy. But Marlies head coach John Gruden, they spoke out on Rich Clune being a natural fit to be the Marlies assistant coach. So what he had to say is, I'm glad he's on board and he's going to help us with a lot of insight. And head coach Sheldon Keefe also spoke out saying, I think it's tremendous ad for the group. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Huge shout out to Rich Clune. Apologize I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but just a quick little tidbit there to wrap up the video, just some minor stuff. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button. It's been an interesting time to be a Leafs fan. Not many games are going down. Not much stuff is happening. The Leafs need to make a trade, and lots of rumors are starting to circulate. So thank you guys for watching. If you want to check out our video from yesterday, click the screen here. We'll see you guys tomorrow.